Hi, for week 3, we were asked to read chapter 14 of the Worthington book, Coming to Peace with Psychology. One of the things that I thought was very interesting was the moral development. Worthington discusses the difference between adult and children, how we think differently. He says that we all know that children and adults think differently, but often that is treated like an adult mantra. He just says we repeat it almost mindlessly without really understanding the content of the differences. In the text, he discusses a situation with a child, and she is 3.5, playing with mom's jewelry. He goes through the events of the situation, and the child is put into timeout. The mom puts her there for 10 minutes and tells her to think about what she did. Worthington goes into saying that the psychological science tells mother that Mary can't easily shift the rules. And he gives another scenario about playing with a bunch of plastic toys, and he goes on to say that the mother had thought that her instructions were clear. She even asked Mary if she understood, and Mary said she did understand, but he goes on to say that the mother might have found out about the misunderstanding before Mary disobeyed if the mother had read some studies on the psychologist Daniel O'Leary. Worthington goes on to explain to us how children who heard the rule twice cheated twice as often as those who heard the rule and repeated it. This was one of the things that I really agree with O'Leary and Worthington. That is a game changer in parenting. I'm a parent myself of 3, and so I've learned kind of through trial and error. And one of the things that I do as a parent now that I did not do with my first child is whenever he gets in trouble, I say, "Do you understand why you are in trouble?" And sometimes he does say yes, and he has no idea, no clue why he is in trouble. He just wants to be done with the situation. So we go through and explain, you were in trouble for, and this is why we don't do that, and ensure that he does understand indeed why he is in a timeout or whatever his punishment may be. The text goes on to say that the half who said the rule out loud before every possible pull of the clown arm cheated only 4% as often as those taught the rule but not required to say it out loud. I found that was very interesting. The other half knew the rule, but they demonstrated 10 correct choices before the trial began. He asked, was that time out for Mary helpful? And the purpose of thinking might not work on children that were 3.5 years old. For me, I did do timeout when my children were 3.5. I don't feel like, and of course I'm not a psychologist and I haven't done research, but I am a parent, and I think that children meet different milestones at different times. So for mine, I believe at 3.5, they could sit in timeout and think about what they did, because we went back and said, what could you have done differently? And they were able to answer that question. So if it was hitting their sister, ask her nicely to, not take your toy instead of hitting. So I didn't 100% agree with this section pertaining to thinking and problem solving, because I do think that some children that are younger than 3.5 can reason, especially if they've been presented with that problem before and mom and dad have addressed it. The Bailey study suggests that mother will not succeed by directing Mary to sit silent and think, that the mother should get her to talk about the baby behavior instead. I do agree that talking about the behavior is very important, but I also, as a parent, think that it's important for the child to think about their actions and try to help with the critical thinking and problem solving.